Released from prison on March 14, 2024, and barely 10 days after, he is elected the president of Senegal. 44 years old Bassirou Faye is definitely man of the week for Africa and even beyond. An elections that appeared so smooth, and today we are looking at the strength of institutions in the promotion of democracy. You are watching 360 degrees on Canal International. Good morning, and do not move a muscle. Thanks for joining us once again. You are watching 360 degrees on Canal International, and we are beaming live from the nation's economic capital, Douala. Before we shall come back to welcome our guests for today, let's take some of the news-making events of the week.
It was at about 7:30 p.m. March 27, 2024 that Nzie Jean-Claude Ruffin died on his way home from work after boarding a commercial motorcycle from the city center of Kribi to Ndombe district's Kumba entrance in the south region of Cameroon. At a certain point, the rider refused to continue the journey on grounds of fatigue, giving the bike rider 500 to receive 300 francs balance ignited a quarrel between the rider and the customer. The bike rider needed his 200 francs but had no balance to refund to Jean. A lady who overheard their discussion opted to pay the 200 francs as she had the cash but couldn't save the situation, as the bike rider in fury declined the offer. In course of the quarrels, Jean-Claude was stabbed 3 times with a knife and later gave up the ghost. The body of Jean-Claude is currently at the mortuary at the Kribi District Hospital. According to eyewitness, a neighbor to Jean-Claude, the presumed killer escaped after the incident. Thursday, March 28, 2024, youths of the neighborhood barricaded the road to express their discontentment following the killing of the young man. Visiting the home of the victim, the mother of 33-year-old Jean-Claude remains heartbroken. Forces of law and order have opened investigations in order to track the assailants. On the crime scene, a mobile phone was found, an item to track the presumed murderer.
With 2025 drawing closer, squabbles continue to rise within the ranks of some political outfits like the PCRN, MDR, MP, UPC and others, leadership tussle tearing the parties apart at a time mobilization ahead of the municipal, legislative and presidential elections was supposed to be the main focus. The dribbles, confusions and battles to political analysts appear like a well-calculated game to weaken the opposition.
Political gimmickry is one of the things, because at this point in time, the party in power doesn't want to see any political party which is very strong, which could serve as a challenge to them. The divide and rule has always been the leitmotif of the ruling CPDM, because when you look at even appointments, they disappoint a son of the soil who may be your friend or your brother, and they bring you. That's creating conflict between you.
The actions equally cast doubt on the objectivity of the different political leaders, their stance and party laws.
Ailleurs, ce sont des idées. Ici au Cameroun, vous prenez un parti politique, vous mettez un nom. Oubliez le secrétaire général, oubliez le secrétaire de la communication, oubliez tout ce qu'on met, ça se résume à un homme. Et ça ne peut pas marcher malheureusement. On ne va pas inventer la politique au Cameroun.
Most of the political parties are just based on family lines. You see, the president or the chair of that party is the husband. If the wife is there, she's the secretary or the treasurer. It's very unfortunate. So much so that they do things at their beck and con. They care less about whose ass they're going to blow. So much so that people want to take it all. Whereas I think a political party is an association, and associations, they have rules and ways through which they are managed.
The analysts underline the impact of the fallout on the Cameroonian masses.
People who adhere to political parties are like tools. When time for election comes, people run behind them for their votes, and after that, they are dumped. And it's rather unfortunate for the militants or sympathizers, because some sell their consciences for 1,000, 2,000 francs. It's shameful. It's really shameful. We need political education in this country, which doesn't exist. Because if there was political...
And the troubles at the National Party for Reconciliation are getting deeper as the founding father, Robert Kona, fires Cabral Libi from the party. And the party in return, this March 25th, announced the sacking of Robert Kona, a film which seems not to be ending soon.
In Douala, Cameroon, the Senegalese community has risen to celebrate as Bassirou Diomaye Faye clinches victory in the first round of Senegal's presidential election. Women representatives within the community expressed their joy, affirming the fulfillment of their objectives.
Toute la nuit d'hier, on n'a pas pu dormir.
We didn't sleep, eagerly awaiting the results. We are ecstatic with the outcome and believe there is no necessity for a second round. Our heartfelt appreciation goes to the Senegalese community in Cameroon for their unwavering support, and we dedicate this triumph to them.
Cette victoire, et on les dédie la victoire.
Je suis très fier de voir vraiment notre patriote.
I am thankful to our women leader for her tireless efforts in mobilizing and educating women on the significance of voting.
Présidente des femmes, elle a tout fait pour mobiliser les femmes, les sensibiliser, aller les faire voter.
With indelible ink marking their fingertips as proof of participation, Senegalese citizens in Cameroon rejoice in the election of 44-year-old Diomaye Faye as their president, viewing it as a moment of pride for Africa and a reaffirmation of democracy in Senegal.
Aujourd'hui, c'est une grande fierté pour nous.
This is a historic day for us, the Senegalese youth. We celebrate the victory of 44-year-old Diomaye Faye, a proof of the restoration of democracy in Senegal. The population is filled with elation, and even the 17 other candidates have extended their congratulations to Faye on his first round victory.
Les 17 candidats ont félicité déjà Diomaye pour lui dire merci.
On dit merci parce que c'est ça qu'on attendait depuis.
We thank God for this milestone. Our votes were cast for Diomaye Faye and his ally Ousmane Sonko. It's groundbreaking that a 43-year-old president is emerging victorious in Africa's inaugural round of elections. Our appreciation goes out to the Senegalese youth for their decisive votes.
Nous remercions toute la population sénégalaise, surtout la jeunesse.
As the nation awaits the official declaration of election results, Bassirou Diomaye Faye stands poised to make history as one of the youngest presidents ever elected in Africa, symbolizing a new era of leadership and hope for the Senegalese people.
Thanks, and you're welcome back. We go straight to welcome our guests for today. We begin from my right. I have our MICAH. I guess I pronounced the name well. He is a journalist and a lecturer. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Hyncenth. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be on the platform today. The name is MICAH.
MICAH.
Right.
Thank you so much for your correction. I move back to my left where I have CHRISANTUS MOFOR MBEANANG. Did I get your name well, sir?
Yes, I am.
Yes, and he is a politician militating with the Social Democratic Front. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chia, and my co-panelists. Special greetings to my national chairman, His Excellency, Honorable Joshua OC, and to the Alliance for Political Transition in Cameroon, to the Communication Department of the Social Democratic Front, to all militants and sympathizers of the SDF, and to my personal friends and supporters. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. And to my right again, I have Robert Chia. He is equally a politician, and he militates for the ruling party, the CPDM. KEDIA, once again, you are welcome. This should be your second time on this set.
Thank you very much. Special greetings to you. Special greetings to my co-panelists. Special greetings to the institution of Canal International for giving us this opportunity for us to be able to express our views on issues that are happening in our continent, especially the last election that took place at Senegal. Special greetings to the mayor of the year 2023, Robertson Enonchong of Mafe, for the good job he's doing. With regards to security, we are getting the news of separatists that are being apprehended, and of course peace is coming back. You remember the guy that went and burned down houses, killed pregnant women, children on the 6th of November 2023. They call him one Akko something, and he was apprehended. So I take this opportunity to greet the #1 magistrate of the town of Mafe for the collaboration him and his people with the forces of law and order are working together to ensure that there is peace, serenity in that part of the country, while we wait for the government also to play its part with regards to the crisis, so that we'll have eventual and final peace, so that we can have our 2025 election peacefully in that part of the nation.
Thank you so much. We really need that peace. Mr. Awa, let me just come straight to begin with you. You just watched the Senegalese community in Douala being so happy after the elections. Did you see that coming?
If I say I saw it coming, then I would not be saying the truth. But again, we're living at a time when anything is possible, especially so far as Africa's democracy is concerned. Young Africans are beginning to get enlightened. They are educating themselves on their political rights, civic rights, and also their responsibilities when it comes to change, especially political change that is greatly so desired across the continent. What the Senegalese youth, young people, have shown to the continent of Africa is that anything is possible when we unite. Anything is possible when we say that enough of this is really enough of that, and we do the right thing. We act for the right thing, we do the right thing. There is a possibility that change can come at any time. So I take this opportunity to congratulate Senegalese for choosing a young man to be the president. I think that is historic. Quite historic, because we are talking at a time when we have very old people on the continent as presidents and still fighting to be there until maybe they die. And to find a nation that rises up and says, no, we need change, and elect a young person to be their leader. It's amazing. It didn't come as a result of a one-man show. Young people came together to say that, okay, we've had enough of old people doing this thing for us. Perhaps it's time for us to try a young person. And we are seeing the result for that, and it's amazing. And congratulations to Senegalese, it's amazing, of course.
Thank you. Let me get to Mr. CHRISANTUS. 14th of March, this guy came out from prison after spending about 10 to 11 months. And 10 days after, he's elected the president, though it is not yet official, because there is still that official institution that has to declare him president. But then the results are already there. That should be mouth-watering. It should be something we never expected, that somebody leaves prison and 10 days after he becomes president.
There's one thing, the one thing I will tell you, and Cameroonians or Africans or world all over, that a major betrayer it prepares you for a major breakthrough or a major success. So if you look at the culture of Senegalese democracy, where there's excessive use of force, the police arrest opposition leaders randomly, then you say he is not the first man leaving the prison to become president. Even MICAH was in prison, was equally jailed by Abdullah White. So it is a tradition in the Senegalese society. So what it infers to me is that putting him behind bars instead galvanized the locomotive for change. People were determined to say, no, this is our leader and he must be. And they have concretized the things thanks to the strong institutions, because democracy is institutionalized in Senegal. They have the liberal democracy, conversely to other African countries where they have illiberal democracy. So it is something worthy of appreciation and to be copied in other African countries. Because, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Robert. When you look at the situation, Ousmane Sonko was disqualified as presidential candidate because of the numerous charges against him, including terrorism, including insurgents and all that. But then he mentored somebody who came up, and many people did not know that that was what was cooking. That should be one of the surprises of the year.
I enjoy the euphoria that has sparked up in the entire Africa, seeing a guy of 44 years, and even his mentor, Sonko too, is 49 years. Yes. So it's a good thing, even though I'm one of those that I want to see what they will do before I appreciate and praise them. I will not only look at the fact that they are youth and I start to say, oh, it's a very good thing they are youth. They need to deliver, then we will now compare them with others that maybe they are in a certain age. You see, what has happened in Senegal is not new. Senegalese are just learning from the Cameroonian democracy, where our first president came to power as a young man, 36 years, and even our present president, he came to power in his 40s. So Senegalese are just learning from the democracy in Cameroon to elect a young person, because all our presidents were elected in their 30s and 40s, and they are doing a good job. So of course I will expect them to do a very good job now that the people of Senegal has given them their confidence. The truth also is that the Senegalese youth are not passive in politics, they are very active in politics. We should not look at a fight that has come up now and we start to say the youth. No. Before MICAH came to power, the youths too were in the streets, and many of them even died before finally MICAH came to power. So the youth are very active, and we are indulging other youths in other part of the sub-Saharan Africa that has to do with the CEMAC zone of Central Africa, and of course in West Africa. Let the youths be active in politics. They should be part of decision making. They should not be the one that will criticize in the street, criticize on radio station, TV station, and yet they don't have electoral cards. And we have seen it in many countries. Well, it look like, for instance, a country like Cameroon with over about 30 million people with about 20 million age, those that are ready for voting age, and we have only about 7 million that have registered. It calls for concern. You look at a very powerful country like Nigeria with 100 and something million of people, and when you look
over
at the number of people, over 200, sorry, and you look at those that registered is just about 40 million. You start to ask yourself questions.
The recent Nigeria elections, they had about 80 million people. Now,
when you look at that and you look at the total percentage of more than 200, you realize that it's a percentage of about 40. So these are the things we are calling our youth to engage, to indulge in politics, because the time has passed where we were promised that we are the leaders of tomorrow. But dear youth, looking at me, watching me today, we are the leaders of today and not tomorrow.
Okay, I like that. Mr. Awa, when you look at the conspiracy, I want to call it conspiracy in court against Sonko, and then finally somebody still comes out within how do I call it, the team to be the president. Does that tell you anything about the will of the people? You can, meaning you can cage Sonko, but you cannot cage the dream.
You truly can cage a human being, but never the aspirations and dreams. But we wouldn't give credit entirely to Sonko and team. We should also recognize strong institutions that played a role.
I am at the level of the will of the Senegalese people.
The Senegalese people resolved it was time to get a new leader. And they went to the polls and they got a new leader. Now, it has to do with a lot of determination and endurance. It is not easy for you to want your leader who inspires and motivates you. At the same time, the leader is in jail for wanting to be your leader. I think it brings a great deal of demoralization that the youths of Senegal went through, but they persevered through that and they stood with their leader, even in prison. So you have to look at some level of commitment on the part of these young people, and also appreciate the fact that they are able to understand what politics is. That is not something you plow in and look back. You engage, commit, and you see results. And they stood by their leader. Sonko, you call that conspiracy theory? I think it's just destiny. Destiny is decided by God. Man cannot change that. Whatever it is that God has destined for human beings. Circumstances will come in way, that's true, but it can never delete whatever it is that divine provision has put in place for people. So we could say that circumstances played along with Faye Dumaye to become president through the imprisonment of Sonko, who is mentor to the elected president-elect. So you put all of this together, you realize that whatever it is, no matter how small or noble it is in life, if you truly want it, there is a price to pay for that. And they paid the price, and today we have a president for Senegal.
Thank you so much. And today we are talking about the strength of institutions in democracy. Let me get to Mr. CHRISANTUS. When we talk about the institutions during an electoral process, some of them include the presidency, because the date of the elections comes from the presidency. It includes the Constitutional Council, or the Constitutional Court as it is called in Senegal, and then the electoral body. Let's begin with the Constitutional Court that was able to roll out Macky Sall's demand of postponing the elections. Is that a strong message? They were already sending Macky Sall to tell him that, oh, come on, we should have stronger institutions than stronger people.
Yes, it is very cardinal, because you have to understand that in Senegal there's a well demarcation of power, separation of power. So you don't see any situation where in Senegal where the president single-handedly appointed members into the Constitutional Council. So or the Constitutional Court. So in the Constitution, the President of the National Assembly proposes 4 names to the President of the Head of State. He chooses 2 out of the 4, and he adds to the 3 that he himself has chosen. So, since the Senegalese, they have already put in place democratic institutions. In democratic institutions, every actor in every institution has a say or a decision to make. So it was the turn of the Constitutional Council to say, no, Mr. President, the Constitution says you cannot prolong your mandate. It is not now that you see that there are crises in the country. Even the National Assembly has passed a law, but we say, no, it is not constitutional, and the election must hold. So that is the rule of the institution. So it is rather unfortunate that the same thing cannot happen in Cameroon. The same thing cannot happen in Cameroon, because
what do you mean the same thing can happen in Cameroon?
Because we have puppet institutions.
Let him land.
The Constitutional Council of Cameroon is just a gathering of friends of the head of state. So I don't know, when you look at all post-electoral petitions, when the constitutional judge says it is rejected because of lack of proof, does it mean that he read the constitutional law more than all other Cameroonians or the political parties? So there is bad faith on the part of the Cameroon government. When I'm very, very surprised to hear my co-panelist, Mr. KEDIA, saying the Senegalese are copying the example of democracy from Cameroon. I don't know what you mean by democracy. Because democracy comes from 2 Greek words, demos, meaning people, Kratos meaning rule, and it is the rule of the people. Yes. The power of the rule of the people. I don't know what the people of Cameroon are really contributing in governing this country. Because look at the National Assembly. The Constitution, I was not part of those who wrote the internal laws of the bylaws of the National Assembly. It is set before the beginning of every session. These government bills should be sent to the people's representative 15 days before the beginning of the session. Meaning that the people's representative, the parliamentarians, can convene election meetings in the constituency to debate on the laws that they are taking to the assembly, so as to carry all of the people's opinion to the National Assembly. But we see the contrary. Then you see they say in the beginning of every legislative year, the National Assembly meets in an ordinary session. The eldest member of the parliament to recite the deliberations only for the election of the Bureau of National Assembly, and until the Bureau is put in place, no other activity can take place in the National Assembly. What happened last March? So, you know, when people are trying to joke or just oppose terminologies, there's a lot of political demagogy in Cameroon. So, I don't see any element of democracy in this country that critic could be given to the new D government.
Thank you. KEDIA, you were itching to react when he talked about the Constitutional Council.
The problem is that you don't come and you call institution of a nation open. It does not speak well. How can, I can even receive that from civil society, not a politician. You call an institution puppet? It's wrong. Because this Constitutional Council we are talking about, there is a member from SDF that was appointed there. Our Senate, we have SDF militants there. Our House of Assembly, we have the chairman of the SDF there. He's a parliamentarian there. How would you feel when his own militant come and insult the institution where he himself is a member of that institution? How do you think Joshua will see in his house getting the insult on institution where he's part of?
I think his insult was on the content. On the content of what is
who are responsible for the content? The people that are in the institution, and his chairman is in the institution. All right. If you say the assembly is, you insult the assembly, you are insulting all the parliamentarians, and his chairman is part of it. But anyway, that's not what I would like to talk about. What I want to talk about is Senegal.
If I should ask you this simple question, maybe you just answer straight. Are you very comfortable with the fact that works in the National Assembly and the Senate was halted for more than 2 weeks?
I'm not comfortable.
Well, you can go ahead.
Thank you. Now, what I want to say, and the problem of most of our politicians, is that they are responsible 100% why our youth today are very passive. When you come, you insult the Constitutional Council, you insult the Assembly, you insult all institutions, you insult Elekam. Then you tell the youth, go and register and vote. What are you giving them psychologically in their mind? Look at what happened to Faye and Sonko. They went to prison. We know the influence that MICAH put in place to send them in prison so that they should not be elected. But for once, did you hear them talk negative about the electoral institution? No. Even the court that sent them to prison for months, did you hear them criticize it? No. They were very serious with their job they are doing. Because if they could have insulted those institutions, they could have weakened the youth not to support them. So what I am saying is that we should be able to convince the people, sell our ideologies to the people so that they buy our ideologies. When you insult institution, insult Elekam, insult all of them, the people will not believe in that Elekam, and they will not see a need to vote, and you will be there to cry. In Cameroon, it's only in Cameroon that before election, all opposition, they are crying about all institutions insulting them. During election, they cry. After election, they cry. What are they doing at the field? We don't know.
Thank you so much.
And they are responsible why our youth are passive. Because they frustrate them. They tell them that election, forget about election, they are appointed by the president, nothing can happen. Then you still tell them, go and vote.
Thank you so much. I will be coming back to you. I will be coming back to you. Let's welcome Council BANDA MUGHOGO, who is just joining us. So you're welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon to fellow panelists. Thank you for receiving me on an Easter weekend.
I will be coming back to you. Maybe I just give you some time to catch your breath. Mr. Awa, when you look at the Senegalese election, what will you say about the electoral body, their strength in these elections?
I think that we are here to discuss democracy and institutions, state institutions. We want to give credit to the institutions we find in Senegal, from election organizing body to the judiciary.
Yes.
We've seen them play their part. And I think it's about leadership. My fellow panelists were having a very hot debate a few minutes ago on who is...
And the fact that he wasn't comfortable with our institution.
Right, insulting or not, but I think that there is a leaf we need to borrow from Senegal, which is about leadership. Be it opposition or the ruling, I think Cameroonian youth need leadership. And we're not talking about opposition, we're not talking about the ruling. We're talking about people of character, people of conviction. I agree a little bit more with what he said. Unfortunately, on a sad note, that you would discredit a system and you're still part of it. Doesn't speak well. What example are you showing to young people? You see, Cameroonian youths are very intelligent. Cameroonians in general are very intelligent. They question your actions. And tomorrow you get up to tell them, it is time for us to do this, and they look at you as you're joking. And that's perhaps who you are in that situation. I think that it is time for us to really look at what leadership is and give Cameroonian youths what they are asking for. Not Party B, not Party A. Cameroonian youth needs leadership that inspires, visionary leadership that can help them improve on the quality of life. And that's exactly what Senegal did. They were not after party politics. They simply looked for someone who represented their interests and who they think can deliver. And they went for that. And that's why, maybe the person played his role, the person convinced them, was able to show consistency of character and message. And they saw that. I mean, Cameroonian youths, I think they are looking for somebody.
Thank you so much. Mr. Banda, what is your reading? Elections conducted, and in few hours, the results are available.
Well, thank you for that question. I think that deadlines, duration, is a factor that many people undermine. You don't just do things without having a deadline. You don't have all your life to prepare for this show. You have maybe a week and all that. Senegal is teaching the black community and the world at large that we can still choose to do things the right way within the prescribed time. Yes, Amadou Mba is 44 years old. Yes, the timing of the end of the tenure of the outgone president Macky Sall had to end on 2nd April, which is still anticipated. The Constitutional Court came back and gave in a ruling on the 6th of March that the elections should be organized by the electoral body before his mandate finishes. So I think that was done. The investiture has been done. He is ascended to power. Let's get him, give him some time, maybe the first 100 days. Youth journalists will be behind that. Let's see what he can do. He's not out of the laboratory for tests. Like the other gentleman was saying, his consistency with work, character, and message. That consistency has trial periods, the theory and the practical. The theory is out. Now Amadou Mba is in the box. Let's listen to him with a will to adhere to what he says.
That's right.
Okay, let me get to Mr. MOFOR, because it's a very essential thing. Like the SDF, year in, year out, every election, there is always this issue of petitions. Do you think the timely delivery of results can resolve this problem of post-electoral petitions?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I will not give you a direct answer to the question.
But give me an answer that our viewers will understand.
I will give you an answer that will reflect the real Cameroon political scene. When you look at the electoral code, when you say in case of post-electoral disputes, it is only the retention of electoral that is valid to be considered. Is that not already institutionalized, organized fraud? So the problem is that you see ELECAM organizes election, but does not control the election. Because after the voting of the election at the level of the parliamentary and presidential election, only the communal counting commission become the organ that centralizes the result to Yaoundé. In that case, it is the judge of the appeal court that is the chairman of the commission. What is the appeal the appeal court doing in the electoral process? They would have waited at the level of the Constitutional Council and they allowed a LECAM to register, organize, count, and proclaim results and give them to verify the regularity of the process. That is the law, and that is the rule of democracy. But any other definition will not convince me. And I cannot accept.
Is it about you being convinced or the right thing being done?
That's a very favorable declaration.
Yeah.
I would not. So I'm telling you that even
Constitutional Council, I'm sorry, the Constitutional Council has an upper hand to try litigations, which what you choose to call disputes, accruing from elections. And I think that the former governor is an administrator, ruling an independent body, decentralized. It's not the Court of Appeals magistrate, or who you choose to call, that comes and sits there. There is a team that conducts the elections, declares the results, but the authenticity of it doesn't lie within the corridors of the strength of the institution.
Exactly. Okay. Let me, I think,
just land, yes.
I'm an old inspect in the field. I went to the municipal election in 2018 and 2020. So when we left the various polling centers and we conveyed our babies to the LECAM, it was taken to the DO's office. So whatever thing that happens there is not the concern of the LECAM. What is the role of the administration in the democratic process of Cameroon? Because that is so already the administrators are being appointed by. Wait.
Just let him land. Just let him land. Just let him land. You clarify.
The DO represents a candidate, an actor, and a referee. Who is the head of state? Who is President Bobia? Who is the president or the national president of CPDM? You see what is happening. This we are at the eve of elections. Look at the game MINAT is playing to destabilize opposition political parties.
We shall get into that. We don't have any proof that he wants to delocalize maybe political parties. Please, we shall be talking that maybe on another day when we have both parties on set. Let me get to you, KEDIA. 19 candidates went in for these elections. One won. And in very few minutes after the results were being poured out, the other 18 candidates came up to congratulate the winner, including the outgoing president. We don't see that every day in Africa. That should be mature democracy.
Of course, our African democracy is growing. Africa got its independence as from 1957 with Ghana. We are still growing. We cannot compare with America that have had independence since more than 200 years. It can't go. It is always said in our local language that we should cut according to our size. So they have a mature democracy. It's not something to debate. And even to come back in Africa, it's still clear that the English countries in Africa have a more mature democracy than the French one. To be honest, it's factual. It's nothing to debate about. That of Senegal is something good. The appreciation came out even before the results were being read, because after the election in the field, the no wolf won, so the euphoria was there, and appreciation and congratulation started. So it's something that we appreciate. We even saw that in Nigeria when Jonathan appreciated Buhari even before the elections were declared, and it is common in the southern part of Africa and in the eastern part of Africa. This culture is lacking at the level of the sub-Saharan Africa, that's West Africa, and of course the CEMAC zone, which we continue to battle and fight for our democracy. So it's something I appreciate in Senegal. But what I want to say is that, is the present president ready to govern? That's my question. I appreciate.
If he came up like
excuse me, please.
Candidate, it means that he's ready for the top job of the country.
When did he come up as a candidate? Less than how many days? It's when Sonko could not go that he was brought in and said, okay, now I can go. Please, can you just go? And my question is he ready? No, I appreciate the fact that he's a young man. I support him. It's just natural, yes, but I need to ask the why question, and you won't stop me from asking the why question. And please, to conclude, please, we should build our democracy and not pass time to criticize. elections in Cameroon are counted where votes take place with representative of all parties inside. Don't start to call the name of Dio, the name of this. It is counted there. And this is what I say, that opposition discredit the youth. Why do I say so? In Nigeria, the chairman of INEC was appointed by Goodluck Jonathan Ebere. An election took place and he lost the election. Why do we have this mindset that if somebody is appointed by the government, it means that the person will definitely... Why should we have such mentality? If you go to America, the higher the member of the judiciary, I think there are 7 of them, since we have a jury, will tell you the last rank of the judiciary there. They are not well abreast. Yes. Okay. They are appointed by the president. Everywhere in the world, appointment is done by the head of state. He has the final pen to sign. Why is it in Cameroon it's a problem that we criticize everything when it happens in other countries?
I think the problem should not be at the level of appointing. The problem should be at the level of what are they working on as a content. Because if you are appointed and you have a content
it is appointed by president,
all your contents you can follow.
It is appointed by president.
Yes, he's raising a worry if the 44 years old is ready to govern. Don't you think governing a country is not a one-man's affair? It's a change.
Yes, it's never going to be one man's affair, and I think he has an unmatched personality which he has sustained. Now, he has always outcried vices in Senegal.
Corruption in particular.
Yes, you choose just corruption. There are many other ones. Nepotism, tribalism, all of them are interwoven, but very distinct. He has outcried it, and I've heard his voice, and the people have given him a chance to bring in a different dynamism in democracy, because sustaining what has existed has been a problem. It's true there's a problem of age group, which he's saying, is he ready to govern? That's why Mr. KEDIA was like, is he ready to govern? Because of the age.
No, it's not about the age. I just simply said that Sonko was the one to be there. But in less than a month, it was changed and he became the candidate and he was voted. So he had just 1 month to prepare his mind to be president. So I'm talking about that preparedness to be a leader. I'm not talking about mental preparation. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, please, I will not judge his age. You were not here when I said President Ahmadu Ahidjo came up as president of the republic at the age of 36. He did well. Even President Paul Biya came to power in his 40s. So I will not judge the age. All I'm saying is, when Sanko changed his mind, it was less than a month, and Sanko said, you will go in. Is 1 month okay for psychological preparation to lead a nation? That's my point. It's not about age.
Yes, let
me answer you. I think that it is not the timing, it's the preparedness. That even at the eve, we are offsprings from parents. Now, none of us choose the end of life for any. As we're sitting in this panel, I have extreme respect for Mr. Chia. I don't know who look up to him, but he could go home and get a bag.
You don't have respect for us.
No, I do.
For all of
I'm
us.
choosing to. I'm choosing to stand with him. Now, if he gets a bad news from one of his parents, now he needs, if he's the oldest or the most influential, to organize the place. And to organize the place will not need his preparedness. If he just went back home now, they say, well, man needed some blood, pa just passed on. I think, and you were the elder son working in a very prolific Canal, all eyes will be on you. Even if you have an older brother who's not, all eyes are on you. And we want you to take those decisions that will not only be triggered to keep past legacy, but to sustain what you believed were errors during his time, because it's not all the opportunities we have to prepare for certain battles. Some come spontaneously.
Like they say, what comes to a man is equal to the man.
Sometimes, but some come spontaneously, and then some come with preparedness. It's not a competitive exam that you are aware they'll write GC in May and you start preparing in September. This kind of one, the presidential elections, if they had already prepared a different candidate and overnight another one is coming up, it means that that's a plan B. And the plan B comes to fit in the plan A when there were lapses, which we can never know.
All right. Thank you so much. Maybe let me just pick one message from the many. This one is coming directly to KEDIA. It's a youth. He goes by the name Gang Kevin. Sorry, he didn't mention where he's writing from. But he says the Cameroonian youth are trying their best, even when their votes at times are not often counted.
Please, your vote is being counted. Forget about the lie of opposition. Your vote matter, please.
Okay. 2 days
vote,
ago,
register and vote.
2 days ago, President MICAH granted audience to the president-elect, and many were like surprised. The pictures went viral. Does that tell you that politics should be like football, where fake game at the end of the day? is expected to prevail?
If we understand politics to be an assignment to cater for the interests of the masses, then we would always do our best to put our own personal interests away first. We are there to represent the interests of the masses. So when it gets to that point where we have to sit down and talk about what is of importance to the person that has put his or her trust in me, I have to let go my personal interest and negotiate it with my worst enemy, so long as it will take for me to deliver. So I don't see that to be very strange. In mature politics or democracy, we expect that to happen because we understand that politics is not a do or die affair. It is not a game of asking for somebody's head. Unfortunately, we see that in some places.
It's about whose
Unfortunately, it could result to that in society where civilization is lacking, sir. Because if we understand that this whole thing is about the well-being and the welfare of humanity, it at the end of the day about the effort put in to improve on the quality of life, then you will preserve that life and not take it away in the name of politics. Unfortunately, we see that. So we hope that when it's our turn, very soon, we expect to see some display of maturity. We can. I believe in Cameroonians. I'm a Cameroonian, very patriotic, and I am looking forward to seeing Cameroonians show up with character and patriotism when it comes to choosing their next leader. And we want to let go sentiments and what we said some time ago that is still hurting us. We want to forgive those things, because without this, Sonko and Diomaye would have put Senegal on fire because of past sins that we know. But they choose not to. I believe Cameroonians possess even more of that.
Thank you.
To show the world. And when our time is up, we will surprise the world how mature and responsible we are as Cameroonians.
Thank you, Mr. MOFOR. Maybe party differences aside, what can Cameroon learn from these just ended presidential elections in Senegal?
Okay, the lessons that Cameroonians can learn from the just ended presidential election in Senegal are many. First and foremost, Cameroonians have been dehumanized by the system in place. So they have been dehumanized by the system in place. Before independence, there were syndicates who train people for citizenship. Since then, you don't see any great syndicates existing training people about the syndicate. What the Umyobe and the rest did was thanks to the existence of syndicates.
And just to indicate before you continue that the current president and Sonko they came together through a labor syndicate.
Okay, so we need to change our educational system, because with the system of memorize and produce without memorize and copy.
You mean our educational system is affecting our political
our political system? Because what is the saying about this? Look at this. Look at what is happening. We are proud. Mr. KEDIA will tell you that they have about 15 university institutions in Cameroon. What is the input of those universities in the labor market in Cameroon? Every year we send out thousands of jobless Cameroonians. Do you imagine that a Cameroonian will have obtained a doctorate degree and still go back to a training center? To me, the division of education ends at upper 6. Universities should be research centers. People should go to specialize, and we should practice STEM education. That is, we don't only memorize, but we receive, we reason, we analyze, and we propose something. Then,
you try to learn.
For me to conclude, I'll go back to my co-panelist, Mr. KEDIA, who was doubting about the capacity of Mr. Bashiru to rule Senegal. It is rather unfortunate that it is the CPDM initiative that they base the politics of a nation on an individual. A political party is an institution, meaning that if the first or the head is not there, somebody will take up and continue to fight. PASTEF has a well-defined program, economic, social, and political program. It is the same program that Sonko had that Bachiro is going to apply. And I don't think Sonko is dead. He needs advisors. Yes. He needs advisors to help him to implement. So this type of system that people always like to belittle Cameroonians, that people should stay in power for 1 reason because
belittle Cameroonians.
In other words, Sonko is a driving force. He will not be driving force.
Yes. You belittle them and you say people are belittled.
Let's go back to the lessons we can tap from.
The lessons
from
Cameroon. Yes. Before I give the lessons, if you don't mind, I think that the Cameroon educational system really doesn't have a problem. We are of standard. We are recognized by strong institutions out of the organs out of the country. From Commonwealth, La Francophonie, we are distinguished. If you have a certificate in any of these state universities, you have a pride of place over others in the sub-Saharan zone with those very certificates in other issues. Now, it's a problem of you finishing school, either looking for a job, sustaining the job, or maybe sticking to what your passion is in the career you have chosen to follow. That's what I think, which is different from what you said. Now, from the lessons Cameroon should learn from Senegal, in my view, it is the choice to respect the institutions we have in place. If we put an institution, we should choose to respect it. Because I think that the elections in Senegal that were run came from the will of the people to adhere to the decision, the ruling that came from the Constitutional Court, saying that the Macky Sall government organizes elections before his mandate runs out on April 2nd. We are still on March 30th. So about 3 more days and it has been done. Now we anticipate or we believe Mr. Biya's tenure is finishing in November 6th, if I'm not wrong, if my facts are correct. If he's finishing in November 6th, 2025, that's an electoral year of 4 elections, the prime, if he can, through his available institutions, be that of the state ministry of MINAT, that's Ministry of Territorial Administration, with the bodies in place like MICAH, allow them to independently conduct elections within that his mandate. There'll be more order, there'll be more steel, and then from that aspect we can get the results in place and also choose to follow. Then the consistent of defeat, like Mr. KEDIA was saying, this one calling this one, the oppositions respecting whatever results come. We yearn to see that in Cameroon. It's more of a foreign notion. It started with the West. Today we are seeing it in Senegal, we are seeing it in Nigeria. I will imagine that Kabra Libi, he's making buzz. If Kabra Libi could walk himself into the palace and Mr. Biya calls him on phone, it's going to make the buzz. It's going to bring in the for us to think that we don't only learn, we can also teach.
Or if the president, if Mr. Biya wins again and Cabra calls him to congratulate.
the CPDM, I like the CPDM values. The CPDM are insisting that he's their natural candidate. I think he needs to rest. He needs rest, and the policies will still be sustained by another individual, which if he chooses to pick, we will still be grateful because he would have mentored such an individual to say, sustain this. I think that we should respect what he has done for 41 years. Keeping peace in an ideal way is learning. But saying that you should give him another term, what the CPDM are saying, which is good, I think it's a debate for another day.
Just to make it very clear, I'm not taking what others are saying. I take what President Paul Biya said when Macron visited Cameroon, that when the time will come, if he feels like he can go in, he will. If he doesn't, then he will go to the farm. That's what he said. Yes. So you wanted to quickly correct something?
Yes, because the judge was saying that the mandate of Mr. President Biya will expire in November 6th. The presidential
the last investiture came in November. He was sworn in by
Mr. Jurist.
Yes, 7 years ago. So that's when it ends.
The problem is that his mandate will be ending on the 19th of October 2025.
That's not correct.
So 2025, but not 2024, because
your investiture that you start office.
No.
Anyway,
the problem is that we see the game, like the Minister of State, Secretary General of the Central Committee of the CPDM, went to a funeral in the West and said they organize presidential elections before the municipal and legislative election, which is wrong.
Okay.
Legislative, if we respect the electoral calendar, presidential elections would only be heard after the municipal elections, if we respect the calendar and the law.
Thank you so much. You started by saying that Senegal should rather learn from Cameroon.
Yes.
Upon all what we have said. don't you think there is something Cameroon should learn from Senegal?
Yes, there is something. And that thing is the masses, the youth, should believe in themselves. Now, what I will say will shock some of you that think that they are strong institutions. No, the masses of Senegal had stood up, and the institutions had no choice but to listen. I will understand the difference. The people have stood up. You see, when you look at other countries where they are, let me say something.
Yes.
When you look at countries where the masses are out, for instance, like we saw in northern part of Africa, the masses, they were out, and the military turned and told the president that His Excellency, the people are out. I don't think there's anything we can do. So I am saying that when the people rise up, the military institutions will listen. No, of course, we are talking in
No, because you can take North Africa.
Saying something totally wrong.
No. Excuse me, please. We are talking about. Excuse me. We are talking about Senegal. We are talking about Senegal, and the people in Senegal stood up, and the institution could not bend. The president of Senegal tried to remove Sanko and his party, everything, but there was no way because the youths were up, and the judicial institution saw that there was nothing they could do in front of the masses, and they were forced to follow the queue. Same with other electoral institutions and the rest. Now, let me continue. Permit me to. What the people are doing, I can do it more better. I'm familiar with it, so don't disturb. All right. Now, to talk about the educational system where my co-panelists are talking about, I believe that my senior man of the SDF, my view about the educational system was that we should focus on the technical perspective so that we should be productive and not to remain all in the general sector. That is what I will propose, but not that our educational system is weak, because the jury said our educational system is not weak. And with regard to civic education, in all our university, civic education is compulsory. University of Boya and the rest is compulsory. Secondary education, it is there. And even the churches are part of the organ that the state work with to give out morality. So there are many organs, and we call also on parents that are looking for money and their job and they abandon their children to also take their responsibilities. So at that perspective, everything is going on well. All is that opposition should not discourage our youth not to register and vote, that things are not going correctly. Now, to conclude, the main opposition political party in Cameroon is not making noise, but they are working. And we are seeing the result. The main opposition political party in Cameroon is the UNDP. They have the highest number of elected officials. Because how do you know the main opposition party? It is the number of elected officials that a party has. In football, they don't look at who is playing well, they look at those that have scored goal and the trophy. So when you look at a party with more than 900 elected officials, what they are doing in the field, they are not talking, and they are the main opposition. They are working. Cabral Libby brought I think it's 11 million movement stop, and people supported him. They registered. But when we see other members of other political parties, that their problem is insult Elecam, insult Constitutional Council, insult the Senate and the Parliament, where their chairman is part of it. It's not good.
I think you made your point, KEDIA. Thank you so much.
We are in a republic.
Yes. Barrister was like wanting to rebuke the fact that you said the voice of the people is bigger than the voice of the institutions.
No. That is what I am saying.
He didn't get it swiftly correctly. He said that the momentum in the unrest in
North
Senegal
Africa
triggered the institution who had no choice but to allow the people.
I didn't say unrest. I said the rise of the people is different from unrest.
No.
When you talk about unrest, you're already going the violent perspective. You are Jurist, you know the difference between the rise of the people and unrest.
This is it.
To simply put it,
let me get the call.
To simply put it, he means that the population pressured the institution to act,
to decide. But I'm saying that the institutions, when you have power, You cannot be pressured and you take a decision that doesn't have the interest of the people.
I think that we are on a very civil platform.
No, the institution has to take a
We're on a
decision.
very civil platform.
Contemplation.
Thank you, KEDIA. Thank you, KEDIA.
The population made them not to derail.
KEDIA, please, we don't
And
have much time.
they took the right decision.
KEDIA, please, we don't have much time. Mr. Awa, 44 years, president now in Senegal. When you look at that camera and tell Cameroonian youths what that means to them?
It is possible when you rise by the ballot. And you first of all start by respecting yourself. That winning election is not cutting the head of your brother. It's not shooting someone with a gun or stabbing another with a knife. Or committing act of vandalism to show your disgust for perhaps an alleged poorly organized elections. It's by picking up the lessons. What did you even register? How many of us have registered to participate? Sometimes the noise is made by those that have not taken an action to fix the problem. So my message is, don't be part of the problem, be part of the solution. If you believe in elections, that through the ballot box we can make a difference, my advice is, register.
Thank you so much.
Get your voter's card. Take the appointment on the election day. Go choose your candidate.
Good. Thank you so much. The advice is very clear. Gentlemen, I'm sorry I won't be able to take your last word. I think 31st of August is the deadline for registration into the voters registration list this year. If you are still dragging your feet and you want to be an active citizen in 2025, please, you better do before the deadline. It is here that we draw the curtains of the program. Take the rendezvous for next Saturday when it is 12:30 p.m. Bye-bye.